Well, good morning, everyone. And once again, welcome to another live. Hope you're having a great start to your day. And are you having your the true vitamin C? Good morning, Wendy. Nice to have you on, Mike. And Xenia. How are you, Xenia? First time on? Brahim, Oregon, Charles. Good morning, Rosalinda, Regina, and Rosa. One more R. Nope. Doretta and Del. Good morning, guys. Huguette, bonjour. Jeanette from our staff. Ziane, bonjour, Ziane, and Jean. Suzanne from Florida. Joss Sturgeon, good morning. Kevin, good morning. And Micheline, bonjour. Yolande, bonjour. AJ, how are you, AJ? Nelly, nice to have you on with us this morning. Chantal from Ottawa. Nick from our staff, good morning. Okay, Marilyn, how are you? And Kathy from Virginia. Ruth Ann, nice to have you on too. And Beth, Jeanette, and Sinette. Is that saying it right? Is that saying it right? Kevin's from Ohio. Marie-Jose, New Brunswick. Denise from New Brunswick. Katharina and Jeannie and Deb from Timmins. Elizabeth, Brenda. Guys, love you guys. Roma. How are you, Roma? Leanna, Kitchener, Rita, Donna. Donna's saying she's going to have to watch this later. Well, you make sure, Donna, you do, because it's going to be a good one. Nancy, Lucy, how are you, Lucy? Shireen, and Claudette. Okay, let's get going. Dora, it's cold in Manitoba, she said. And Marina from Newfoundland. Lisa. Okay, this is huge, folks. This is huge. I actually had to do a little drawing. I told you that I flunked art. I couldn't even make a stick man properly, okay? But I did a little drawing I'll show you in a second so that you get a picture in your mind of the significance of this study, okay? And it has to do with insulin resistance, okay? And insulin resistance is really at the root of, if you look at it, and that is the thing that I brought out, numero uno, in the reset. Fixing insulin resistance. It is the most important thing you can do for your health, is fixing insulin resistance, okay? Because it's at the root of heart disease, cancer, almost all cancers, heart disease and stroke, big two killers, Alzheimer's, and obviously is diabetes. Those are the four big killers in society today, okay? Not a virus. Not a virus. Those chronic diseases, the chronic diseases, they are metabolic diseases. Metabolic means lifestyle diseases. Okay? So it's important to understand that. Now, let me show you a little drawing so for those who are going to listen to this on a podcast, bear with me for a second. You can get this in your mind. Okay, so I drew up, oh, it's bad. If you can see it here, okay, on my notepad, you see what is supposed to be a cell. Okay, I know it don't look like a cell, but it doesn't matter. You can use your imagination because there's the nucleus, okay? You've got trillions of cells in your body, right? Skin cells, eye cells, heart cells, bone cells. You got blood cells. You got trillions of them, okay? And every one of them is amazing because it's got its own battery packs. Your mitochondria that I'm pointing out here, they don't really look like that, but that's as close as I can draw them, okay? A nucleus, okay? And a wall. By the way, the wall is made up of cholesterol. Oh, gee, I thought cholesterol was bad for you. Nah, fake news. Cholesterol is good for you. Why do you want to lower your cholesterol? Anyway, don't get me started, okay? There's the cell. And I drew up antennas. See the antennas on the cell wall? The better our microscopes become, the more we see. And the more we see, the more we understand. So, see those antennas? What we know is those antennas, you got one. Well, there's two types that we know of on cell walls. Every cell in your body has an antenna, and I've told you this, for viderma, for the sun, for vitamin D. Every cell in your body has antennas, especially important for your white blood cells called T cells. Now, you guys know this, because I've talked to you about this many a time. The importance of viderma. Okay? So you have an antenna on top of your cells. Your T cells don't function properly without vitamin D. But none of your cells function at their highest performance without vitamin D. So do you and I like vitamin D? Of course we do. Of course we do. And I will continue to make a case for it, how it is the greatest vitamin in the world is vitamin D, viderma. Okay? So you got a little antenna on every cell. This is what medicine has discovered. 2, you have another antenna on your cells. This is really important. You have an antenna for vitamin D, and you have an antenna on all your cells. For what? For insulin. Do you think insulin's important? Well, it sure is. Because your cells have an antenna for it. Okay? You got that? So is insulin a bad thing? No, insulin's not a bad thing. Insulin, remember what it does. It's a traffic cop. Insulin is used when you eat. It's incredible to me, guys. It's incredible to me. I think I even mentioned this yesterday, that in medical school, most medical schools teach an hour or less of nutrition. They look at insulin for sure in medical school, but only for diabetics. They know how it operates, but they don't relate it to food. Their teaching is for medication. What does insulin do as a med? So they don't fix diabetes, because when you talk to a physician, most physicians, okay, you talk to them about insulin and they're thinking diabetes. But when I talk to you about insulin, I'm talking about every time you eat, you need insulin. And every cell in your body is affected by it, because your body knows that insulin, when you eat, is going to store your food. It's a traffic cop. Very important. Now, this is what I want you to understand, okay? So I'm coming back to the drawing. Ooh. When you get what we call insulin resistance, this is really key, guys, so that you understand what I'm going to talk about in this study, okay? So when your cells, their little antenna, become resistant to insulin because you used it too much. Remember the illustration I've used? The bad neighbor comes knocking at your door too often. When you're eating sugar, when you are eating crappy vegetable oils, processed foods, okay? The middle aisles of your grocery store, fast foods, they break down to sugar rapidly. Bread, pasta, rice, cereals, sugar, sweets, pastries, juice, store-bought milk. When you live on that stuff, and we talked about this yesterday, remember? Okay, remember? Frightening food facts. Remember that yesterday? 20% of their eating is in a car. You know, it's not like they're bringing, lunch that they made and then eating in their car. No, they're usually stopping, fast food, have a bagel, have a muffin, have pastry. Imagine eating cake for breakfast, but that's what North Americans do. Our oatmeal. Gonna have my oatmeal. My generation, my parents' generation, stopped eating bacon and eggs because they thought it was bad for them, because all they could think of was cholesterol. But now what do we have? We got insulin resistance. So now your cells are resisting insulin. But remember, this is really important now. Insulin will do its job. So if it takes more insulin, then you will secrete more of it. Your cells are insulin resistant, and you just had a bagel, well, your pancreas will squirt out insulin until your cells respond to it. Got it? Do you understand that part now? I know you do, but I'm going to repeat, rinse and repeat. Rinse and repeat. That's the way I learned, and I'm sorry. I'm going to do it and do it and do it because I gotta I got to get it in our cocombre, okay? Up in our brain matter, our little brains, we need to understand it. Okay, now, why is that significant? Why is it significant? Okay, now, I am going to bring the teaching of this new study because I flagged it. It is very, very significant. Now, let me get to it here, okay? Because I went to my back of my... This is huge, folks, okay? This is huge. Okay, I'm going to read you the medical, okay? And then we'll break it down. Cerebrovascular insulin receptors are defective in Alzheimer's, okay? So let me quote the study, the headline of the study. Cerebrovascular insulin receptors are defective in Alzheimer's. Hello? What is Alzheimer's? It's diabetes of the brain. And you never get diabetes anywhere in your body that it doesn't start with insulin resistance. Because remember what insulin does. Insulin must store sugar. Yeah, but Dr. Martin, I didn't have any sugar. I had oatmeal. Yes, you did. You had about, 10 teaspoons of sugar. Because oatmeal is going to be sugar in nanoseconds. So insulin takes it and it knocks on the cell wall at those receptors and says, let me in. I got to put this sugar somewhere. I got to store it. Got it? So cerebrovascular, well, vascular is blood, right? Blood vessels, cerebro, brain blood vessels. At the cellular level in the brain, let me break it down for you, insulin receptors are defective in Alzheimer's. It's insulin resistance in the brain. And this is for your guys. The number 3 killer in the United Kingdom is Alzheimer's. Excuse me, number 1 in the United Kingdom and number 3 in North America. And number 1 is coming to a theater near you. And what is our biggest fear? Our biggest fear is losing our memory. It's no fun. Right? I think we would agree with that. That's a huge fear. And rightly so. I don't want to lose my memory. So Alzheimer's, and what this study is confirming, is food. It's not genetics. Oh, my mother got Alzheimer's. So what? And look, I'm not saying, I always use my story because I have a story. You have a story. Here's my story. Diabetes written all over me. I tell you that often. I look like my father. I do. They didn't call me Tony Jr. for nothing. He was diabetic. I learned everything about diabetes from my father. Not from medical school. No, you learned it. My dad, I watched him when he found out he was diabetic. My grandfather was diabetic. My father changed his lifestyle. It was amazing. There's nobody that ate more steak than my dad after he found out. Like I said, Dad, aren't you tired of eating steak? He said, no, I'm a diabetic. I got to eat steak. Okay. Remember, I was 16 years old, 15, 16 years old when he was diagnosed. I loved my dad. I knew my grandfather died of diabetes. I didn't want my dad to die. Anyway, here we are. We have a society with insulin resistance. It's 88% of the population. Anytime you have metabolic syndrome of any kind, any symptom, high blood pressure, belly fat, high triglycerides, low HDL, high levels of uric acid, any of those symptoms at all, and there's more, but that's metabolic syndrome. Metabolic syndrome is food. It's insulin. It's insulin, and it starts with insulin resistance at those little receptors that need insulin. Your cells have to respond to insulin. When they don't respond, insulin will be poured out. And the more it's poured out, the more your cells resist it. And then you get problems. Big time. Because insulin resistance creates inflammation. Inflammation, your body's ambulance system. Tony Jr. has coined it. It's sickness without a fever. When you get a fever, you understand that. You've had a fever. Your body's ambulance system. You get a cold, then you got a fever, you got the chills, you don't feel good. Your body is working overtime. But what if you have, and that's inflammation. That's why a cold puts you in bed, a lot of times. Your sinuses are inflamed. Your lungs might be inflamed. Your brain is inflamed. But your body is just responding to the virus or a bacteria. It's your body's ambulance system. But you don't want that to last, because then it becomes destructive. This is what it's saying. The cerebrovascular area of the brain, your blood supply, your blood vessels, those little small blood vessels in your brain are damaged through insulin resistance. And Alzheimer's, here's what they're finding. With Alzheimer's, they're finding defective receptors of insulin. They're defective. Well, sure, they've been overused. They've been overused. Obesity is up. Diabetes is up. Heart disease is up. Cancer is up. And it's because we're looking for love in all the wrong places. We have society relying on big pharma to find us the cure for diabetes. We're relying on big pharma to find us the cure in a pill for insulin resistance. Guys, it's not in a pill. It's in food. So your brain, protect your brain, especially the hippocampus, the memory center of your brain. The blood supply is getting damaged when we insist on eating the way we talked about yesterday. Frightening food facts of yesterday. We're eating a dump truck load of sugar a year. Our kids are. And the brain can't take it. How's that for a statement? The brain can't take it. It's amazing how your body is, I say it all the time, fearfully and wonderfully made. It really is. I don't understand. I used to think this way. How that happened by chance. How could that be? You look at the complexity. Like I said, the better the microscopes, the more detail we realize. Holy moly, every cell in your body has antennas. I didn't know that in school. For vitamin D even. And they have receptors for insulin on every cell in your body, even your eyeballs. Why do you think sugar is so destructive? Why do you think vegetable oils? They're not really oils. You can run your car on that kind of oil. Okay? They're high, when I go into the oil change, okay? You know what I know about my car? Nothing. I put gas in it and I get an oil change. Okay? You better do that. That's all I know. It don't run without gas, and it gets really damaged, the engine, if you don't change the oil. Now, every mechanic I've ever talked to, okay? I have a grandson who's a mechanic, okay? And it always amazes me because I said to him, Devin, one thing for sure, you didn't get that from me because I don't know anything about a car. But when I go and get my oil changed, they ask me a question. Do you want fully synthetic or partially synthetic? And I said, I asked the question, what's the difference? And they tell me, well, one is price, fully synthetic is more expensive, and it's better for your engine. Okay, well, I said, then give me the fully synthetic if it's better. Apparently it has to do with viscosity, the heat, and the thickness. And anyway, I don't know anything about that. But when you eat vegetable oils, canola, grapeseed, safflower, sunflower, cotton seeds, soy oil, they're synthetic. Highly synthetic. And that's all right for your car, but your body doesn't like it. Your body thinks it's foreign. So what happens when you decide to eat margarine instead of butter? That's oil. Okay? It's a synthetic oil. Again, put it in your car. Don't put it in your body because your body wants the real oil. like olive oil, bacon fat, butter. That's what your body recognizes. Fish oil, steak oil. Did you know that? Yeah, but your body recognizes it and knows exactly what to do with it. And when you insist on eating these vegetable oils, the middle aisles of your grocery store, fast food chains, you name them, Wendy's, McDonald's, la, 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 la. They cook in the wrong oil. I feel like going into those places and going, you're using the wrong oil. You're making potatoes in the wrong oil. McDonald's used to use lard. Did you know that? Until the geniuses, the geniuses in the cholesterol industry convinced them that lard was bad. Our cooking oil is better. And what's that experiment done for us? Nothing good. We got more heart disease than ever. It can't be cholesterol. Hey, obesity is up. Listen to this. Obesity is up. Heart disease is up. Cancer is up. Alzheimer's is up. Diabetes is up. But cholesterol is down. Woo-hoo! We win. No, it's called we lose. Everything bad is up, but cholesterol is down. Let's give each other high fives. We got it upside down, guys. Our brain has receptors to insulin, vegetable oils, sugar. Holy moly. That's why when you change your diet, and people get nervous when I say the word diet, but I mean food. When you change your fuel, what a difference. I want to encourage you today, when this study comes out and showing that Alzheimer's, there's a defect in those antennas, those receptors in the brain from the overuse of insulin. Alzheimer's is diabetes of the brain, guys. Even without remember, I've always said this. Remember, you don't have to have diabetes to be a diabetic. Huh? Yeah. You don't have to have, because don't rely on numbers. Medicine has been hijacked by the lab. By the labs. Well, you're not a diabetic. Yes, you are, really. You're a carboholic. You're a diabetic. It's just that your body is so unbelievable, it will do everything it can to keep your blood sugars within a very narrow range. That doesn't mean you're healthy. It doesn't mean you're healthy. Metabolic syndrome. That's why I tried to explain it in the book, The Reset. I try and look, we have a crisis in our world. It's a big crisis. But it's not a virus. That's not the biggest crisis in the world. It's metabolic syndrome caused by insulin resistance. So, I know I get passionate about it, but guys, when I flag a study like this, insulin resistance is the key to your brain. You want your cells in your brain to be very easily receptive. So we call that, insulin sensitive. You want that. Your cells to open up to insulin quickly. They're sensitive to insulin. Oh, here comes insulin. Open the door. Instead of, here comes insulin. And we're finding out that the brain is look, 25% of everything you eat is for the federal government of your body, called your brain. It taxes you because it wants 25% goes up here of everything you eat. It's like taxes, comes right off the top of your paycheck because the federal government wants it. And your brain will get that fuel. Doesn't matter what you eat. It'll say, come here, I take first shot. Well, if you're eating the wrong thing, think of what that does to your brain. It's headquarters. Okay. When I read this, I said, now, Tony, don't get too excited. I'm going to calm down. I couldn't help myself. I can't calm down. Okay. Cerebrovascular insulin receptors are defective in Alzheimer's. I hope I unpacked that for you guys, that you understand it. Okay. Tomorrow, what are we going to do tomorrow? Well, I got a couple of real good ones. I'm telling you. I am going to do one, I'm not saying tomorrow, although it might be. I got to think about it for a bit. I have done a deep dive on coffee. Have you ever heard of that, coffee? Vitamin C, the real vitamin C? I've done a deep dive. And I'm bringing to you. So I don't know if I'm going to do it tomorrow or not. I might. I finished it. Okay. Now, if you're not a member of the Martin private Facebook group, please join us. Join friends. Bring your friends and family. Join us. What a great... We're tight-knit, by the way. Okay? So, if you don't get our emails, we put out an important email today. Okay? If you don't get that, you sign up at martinclinic.com. Okay? And put your name in there so you get those emails. Great teaching. Great teaching. Okay? Friday is question and answer. So if you got questions, don't be shy. Ask your questions. And we take that up on Fridays. Okay? Okay, guys. We love you and we'll talk to you soon.